Let's cross now to Mark Kimmitt, who joins us from Baghdad. He's a retired Brigadier General of the US Army. Thanks so much for speaking to us, Mark. You know, both sides have repeatedly said they don't want war while simultaneously warning each other that they'll do whatever's necessary to protect themselves. Javad Zarif has just said the U.S. cannot expect to, quote, stay safe after launching its economic war. Do you see that as a threat, and are you worried about an escalation?
Well, no, I don't see that as a threat at all. I see that as part of the normal back and forth as they're ramping up the diplomatic efforts. I think this is posturing at this point. I do know that the United States will continue this economic, financial war that's going on until there's some breakthrough in terms of negotiations. But I'm not too worried about what's going on in the battle of words going back and forth.
Well, that's good to hear, at least. But do you think the severe economic pressure the U.S. is applying on Iran will actually achieve the ends the U.S. is after, or could it potentially backfire?
Well, I think that if we take a look at the historical record, Iraq in the 90s, North Korea for quite some time, Venezuela for quite some time, it's often misunderstood how far a country will go, how far they will cause their people to suffer and their economy to collapse to maintain the status quo. I would hope that Iraq is looking at that same history. Iran is looking at that same history, not thinking that they can hold out, but understand the privation it forces on their people and recognizes that the best way forward is negotiations.
Okay, you hope Iran will recognize that history, but what if it doesn't?
Yep. Well, I think from everything that we've seen thus far, the United States doesn't seem to be giving, nor are the allies pressuring the United States to change their posture as well. So this could go on for quite some time until one side or the other decides to reach out and say, let's talk about this and be reasonable parties.
But Mark, tell me honestly, I mean, the United States is, as you know, involved in several conflicts right now that aren't turning out in any way as the United States expected. The United States would at least be foolish at best to pursue military means to try to further pressure Iran to do what it wants if these economic sanctions fail, correct?
No, I think you're right, but that's why I believe that the United States has been very clear they are not seeking war, at least armed conflict. They're using other tools to try to pressure Iran. You could call that war in and of itself. Economic war, you could call that political war, you could call that diplomatic war.